I'm Ethan Harper, living in New York City, where the lights never fade, and life moves at a relentless pace. On the outside, it seems like I have everything: steady job, happy family, a beautiful wife I've loved for 15 years. But I could never have predicted this day, the day I'd have to confront a truth so staggering, I could hardly wrap my mind around it. It was late afternoon, the sun's last rays creeping through the window as I sat at the kitchen table, nursing a cold cup of coffee. The streetlights blinked on outside, but inside, my heart felt heavy, swallowed by an unsettling darkness. Lately, I couldn't shake the feeling that Sarah and I were drifting apart. She was coming home later, our date nights became more of a rarity, and the conversations between us grew shorter, as though an invisible wall had quietly risen between us. I'm not one to talk much. I retreat into my work, and I'd let things slide for a while, thinking it was just a phase. But something didn't feel right. Evenings would pass with me waiting for Sarah, only for her to slip in without so much as a glance in my direction, like I was just a fixture in the background. I didn't blame her at first. I understood how exhausting work could be, but this time, something felt different, something I couldn't name. And then, the truth hit me. Simple, brutal, undeniable. She came home, said nothing, started undressing, her movements indifferent, treating me like I was invisible. I stayed silent, the growing discomfort in my chest tightening with every passing second. Today, I couldn't pretend anymore. The strange emptiness in my heart had crystallized into something clearer, sharper. I placed my coffee cup down, my hands heavier than I expected, and spoke her name, my voice low but firm. Sarah. She stopped, turned to look at me, and I saw no shock in her eyes, no remorse. Just indifference. What is it now? She asked, her voice flat, as if this was just another one of those quiet moments when I'd try to get her to understand something she never cared to. I tried to keep the edge out of my voice, but the question I had been avoiding for so long came spilling out. I know you're seeing someone else, I said, the words sharp, though my tone was more resigned than angry, and I think it's been going on for a while. Her eyes widened for a second. But it wasn't surprise, it was the look of someone caught, trying to mask the truth with a smile that felt forced, not one of relief. Not this again, she sighed, her voice airy, dismissive. Ethan, you know how busy work's been. What's going on with you? Can't you understand sometimes I have to work late? Meetings, travel. I shook my head, not bothering to respond right away. Sarah never truly understood. You think I don't get it? I said, my voice steady despite the fire brewing inside me. You come home late. You disappear for work trips I've never heard about. I'm not stupid. Sarah, I know you're lying. She stood there, silent, her eyes unreadable, not angry, not defensive, just tired. Why can't you understand? She said softly, almost as if she were explaining something to a child. I've been patient, Ethan. You haven't been there for me. Not in the way I need you to be. I have needs, physical needs, and you haven't been able to satisfy them for years. My chest tightened. So, what? I'm not good enough for you anymore? My voice cracked, but I kept my composure. Am I just some emotionless robot who can't be what you need? She bit her lip, reluctant, before responding in a clipped tone. I'm not saying that, but we're not the same. We haven't been for a long time. Her words sliced through me, but I didn't get angry. I didn't even feel the rage I should have. I just felt empty, hollow, like she had just confirmed everything I feared. I stood up, closing the distance between us, and spoke quietly, though each word felt like it carried more weight than it should. I don't care what you do, I said, my voice thick with a mixture of hurt and finality, but the one thing I can't accept is the lies, and being treated like I don't matter. She didn't respond right away. There was a shift in her eyes, fear. Maybe, for the first time, it seemed like she realized there was no going back. A long silence passed between us before she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Can't you forgive me? I looked at her, my heart aching, but the answer was clear. No, I couldn't. You've hurt me too much. I can't forgive you for this. You chose this path, and now, I'm choosing mine. She stood there, frozen, her expression filled with fear and regret. It wasn't just the words I had spoken that struck her, it was the finality. The realization that this was it. I wasn't the same man I had been. The one who could quietly endure. The one who would forgive. I couldn't ignore the pain I had been carrying for months. She stepped forward, slowly, as if unsure of what she was hoping for. She couldn't look me in the eyes. The desperation that had once been there had faded, replaced by something more uncertain. "I'm tired," I said softly, my voice low, weighed down. "Tired of standing on the sidelines, watching you live your life while I'm left out of my own." Sarah didn't say anything. Her eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't tell if they were from regret, or just the realization that the truth had finally caught up with her. I took one more step closer, refusing to let her justify herself anymore. "Do you know how this feels?" I asked, my voice a little more raw now. "To watch you go out with other men? To suffer in silence while you live like nothing's wrong? I'm the one you call your husband, yet you treat me like a stranger, without even the dignity of respect." Sarah flinched, swallowing hard as she turned away. For a long moment, she said nothing, perhaps searching for words to mend what had already shattered. But there was nothing left. The truth had become too loud, too clear. "That stings, doesn't it?" I went on, bitterness lacing every word. "I've stayed. I've been patient. I've tried. But you look at me like I'm nothing. Like I'm just taking up space in your life." She turned to face me again, and this time, the tears were visible, uncontrolled, honest. I don't know what to say anymore," she stammered, her voice fragile. "I was wrong. I know that. But I need you, Ethan. I don't know what I've done. I can't explain it. I just lost myself." I stood there, silent for a moment, letting her words drift and fall like ash. "You say you need me," I said, voice low, "but all I've seen is you needing everything but me. You needed attention, thrill, physical things I couldn't give anymore, and that's what you chased." Sarah recoiled as if each sentence was a blow she hadn't expected. "You don't get it," she whispered, broken. "I don't love them. I never did. I was lonely. Ethan, you were always distant. I didn't know how to reach you anymore. You changed." My jaw tightened. I took a step closer. "I changed," I echoed, my voice hoarse. "No, Sarah, you changed. The moment you stopped seeing me as your partner, when you stopped seeing me at all." She dropped her gaze, the weight of guilt finally settling across her shoulders. "I know you loved me once," I continued, a deep ache threading through my words, "but you didn't love me enough to be honest. You didn't love me enough to fight for us, or to even see me." The facade crumbled. She collapsed into tears, shaking. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I never wanted to hurt you. I don't even know why I did it. I don't know who I became." The silence after her words wasn't peaceful, it was final. I looked at her, feeling nothing but the cold echo of betrayal. I had cried my tears in silence, long before this moment. "It's not about your apology anymore," I said, voice like stone. "What matters now is what you've done, and I won't live under lies any longer." She stepped toward me, pleading, eyes wide and desperate, but I had no more space left for her weakness, no more will to be the man who bore her shame. "I can't live like this anymore, Sarah," I said firmly. It's over. I've made my decision." She dropped onto the couch, her body trembling with sobs. No more explanations, no more excuses, only tears. And yet, I didn't feel empty, not like I expected. Her leaving didn't break me. It confirmed what I had known for a long time. From that moment, I chose a new beginning. I returned to the parts of me that had been buried, hobbies, passions, the quiet joy of simply existing without needing someone's validation. Each day made me stronger, steadier. I was alone, yes, but I was free. Sarah no longer defined my world. When she left, the house felt still, almost too still. The places we once laughed in became hollow, shadows of what used to be. But it wasn't sadness that filled that space, it was clarity. A quiet, strange peace. I had survived the storm. But even peace has its shadows. I couldn't erase the anger. The betrayal lingered like a scar, not bleeding, but never quite gone. I've never been someone who believes in revenge. I was the silent type, the steady one. But this time, I couldn't just let it go. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I needed her to understand what she had done. So I began gathering everything: texts, Call logs, hotel receipts, every piece of the truth she thought she had hidden. I didn't want to ruin her. I wanted to make her face it. The names, David, Bob, others. She thought she was careful. She wasn't. I followed her quietly, like a shadow, watched her move through the life she built without me. I saw her meet them, smile, laugh. And I felt calm, not numb, just resolute. I was no longer the man lost in heartbreak. I had clarity and a plan. That evening, when she came home late again, she found me already there, waiting. I sat in the dark, not out of drama, but out of silence, letting it speak for me. She entered, unaware. "Ethan," she said, startled, nervous. "I didn't expect you back so early." "Early?" I repeated, standing. My voice was cold steel. "You think I don't know where you've been?" She froze, her breath caught. No words. "I know everything, Sarah," I said, eyes locked on hers. "David, Bob, the rest." Her lips parted, then closed again. No more lies to tell. I didn't need to hear her say anything. I asked, my voice calm. "And Bob? Or the other men you've been seeing?" She couldn't answer. She just stood there, her tears falling, the weight of everything crashing down on her. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice choked with regret. "I don't know what to say anymore. I was wrong, but please, don't do this. I still love you." "Love?" I asked, the word tasting bitter. "You love me, and yet you sleep with other men? You treat me like I'm not enough, like I'm some weakling you can push aside?" She stepped closer, her eyes pleading for forgiveness, but I had no interest in hearing more apologies. "You can't deceive me anymore, Sarah," I said, my voice as cold as ice. "I've endured enough. Now, it's time for you to face the consequences." She remained silent, her eyes full of regret, but there was nothing left to say. I had made my decision. "I don't need you to explain anymore," I continued, my voice steady, unyielding. "I know everything, and now, I'll show you what I know." I opened my laptop and played the video. She looked at the screen, her face draining of color as she recognized the evidence of her betrayal. The footage, clear, undeniable, captured her moments with David, with Bob, the embraces, the stolen kisses. It was all there, in living color. "You thought you could keep deceiving me forever," I said, emotionless. "This is the price you'll pay, not just for you, but for the men you let into our lives." I don't need to say anything more. It's all here. She stood frozen, unable to speak. Tears streamed down her face, but I felt no pity, only a bitter resolve. The silence grew heavier. Her sobs echoed through the room, but they didn't move me. She had nothing left to say, no more justifications, just the weight of what she had done. "I can't forgive you," I said softly, but with finality. "You've crossed every line I could ever forgive, and now, I won't just stand here and let you keep hurting me." Her sobs intensified, desperate. "I was wrong, Ethan. I'm sorry. I know I can't undo what I've done, but I regret it. You're the one I love. I don't know why I did this." I couldn't bear to hear it anymore. The apologies, the pleading, the endless cycle of words that meant nothing. "Sorry won't fix anything, Sarah," I said, my voice rough with restraint. "Because of what you've done, I can't go back. I can't live on empty words and broken promises anymore." She took a step back, as if struck, her lips trembling, trying to find words, but nothing came out. We stood there in the silence, facing one another. The distance between us was now insurmountable. I knew she regretted it, but regret couldn't replace what had been lost. I felt empty, not because I didn't love her anymore, but because I couldn't keep living in a relationship that had been torn apart too many times. The next day, I didn't see Sarah. I spent it clearing my mind, letting go of the anger and the hurt she had left behind. I felt nothing, only a cold, steady resolve. That evening, she called. I didn't answer immediately, but eventually, I picked up. Her voice, once confident and defiant, was now small and broken. "Ethan, I know I was wrong, but I want you to know that I really do love you. I don't know what to do to fix what I destroyed. I'll do anything to make you forgive me." I stayed silent. I didn't know what to say, but the truth was, I didn't want to hear those words anymore. I didn't want to go back, not to the lies, not to the heartbreak, not to the version of myself I became in that marriage. I had realized something: forgiveness isn't always the path to happiness. I can't forgive you, I said gently but firmly. Not because I don't love you anymore, but because I can't live in that lie anymore. I've made my decision, Sarah. I won't go back. On the other end of the line, silence. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice quiet. I understand. I just want you to know I love you, no matter what happens. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. She knew. She finally understood. A marriage can't be saved once it's been shattered beyond repair. I began the first steps of rebuilding my life. The days after Sarah left were filled with quiet reflection. I walked the streets of New York, visited the cafes we once frequented. At first, the memories were painful, but over time, they began to fade, little by little. I no longer lived in the shadow of betrayal. I returned to my work, real work, the projects I had once been passionate about but had neglected. I poured myself into them. I reconnected with old friends, those I had distanced myself from while trying to save a love that was already lost. Each day brought change, slow and steady. The anger faded, the bitterness dissolved. All that remained was peace. I began to live again, took yoga classes, went out with friends, enjoyed the small pleasures I had long ignored. I lived slowly, gently, for myself. And then, one day, I realized something. I no longer remembered Sarah with pain. The emptiness I had once carried had been replaced by freedom, a freedom I never knew existed. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and it was free from the chains of the past. I no longer lived under the weight of lies, no more illusions, no more pretending, no more dreams of a marriage I couldn't salvage. I had found myself again. Revenge was never the answer. Forgiveness, though difficult, wasn't the only path. The path I chose was my own, a life where I could live true to myself. A life where no one could ever make me feel small, or betrayed again. And so, I moved forward. Freer. Stronger. Wiser. Than ever before.